In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about what I've learned from others on my journey. So, if you believe that your cancer journey is entirely unique, then you might be missing some valuable insights from those who've walked similar paths. And this is something certainly that I found when I started first looking at metabolic therapy. Many people were having similar troubles to what I was having, and for me that meant I learned quite quickly that I was going to have to get quite alternative. So that was probably a good thing. I'm getting really good at these plane timings, aren't I? Now, some of my most important protocol elements came from, not research papers, but from the lived experience of, fellow cancer warriors. I also learnt through helping Bernardo build the metabolictherapy.com website, because that's again something that there was some things in there that I wasn't even considering as things I needed to do before I got through building that. My outlook on metabolic therapy as a whole had changed. And then there's lessons from people that are sadly no longer with us. I mean, one of our great warriors was Jason, and he had huge amounts of value that he dropped into our Cancer Warrior group. But one of the things that I'll always remember from him was just, it ain't over until it's over. He was trying absolutely everything. He was measuring everything. He was taking readings of everything. And he was so precise, and it's really so sad for his family that it was actually an operation that he needed to have to carry on the fight, but that he sadly he really wasn't strong enough for it. His body had just taken too much of a beating, and that sadly cut his life short. But he still has a lot of value that we've got in the group from him, of all of the various things that he was testing. Still more things that I need to implement on the website, and so that'll be more of a contribution of things that he suggested. But learning from others' experience is really valuable. But if you try and fight cancer on your own, or even with just your loved ones around you, even though they may be many, if they're not also in the same fight, then those learning experiences that you could gain from being in a group of others like our cancer warriors could be limited. You'll get some really key insights from other warriors that you may not otherwise get. Now, it doesn't have to be our group. There are groups on various different social channels, I'm sure, and I'm sure there's various number of groups from official channels as well who won't necessarily talk about off labels and metabolic therapy and various other sort of fringe science, as they call it, but they will still talk to you about various other options and give you other perspectives. But with this also, I mean, you can find hope through some success stories. I mean, even if they're small wins. So I remember, I think it might have been Lisa said something about she did a fast for a number of days, or actually might have been a couple of weeks. She was on a heavy fast, but she wasn't doing any of her protocol, and yet in that time her tumours shrunk a bit, and it's just like, wow, I mean, just that's a win. I'm sorry, but that is just a win. If you're not doing anything metabolic therapy or other, and you just go on a really hard fast, and yet in that time you can still show some advance against cancer rather than cancer advancing against you, I'm sorry, but that's just a win. And you're not going to necessarily find out about stories like that if you're not in groups where people are sharing those stories. Now, I hope I got the details of that right. I don't know the exact time, and I think it was a longer fast that she said, but I'd have to go and look in the group to find it. But that's not to say that would work for everyone. I mean, there's so many different things, so many different variables. But there are realistic examples of healing in our group. I mean, we have got group members who have had cancer for many years and are still fighting the fight. More to stop it returning. Some others trying to beat it back. And when you kind of join a collective, it really does speed up how much you learn, and it actually can save you quite a lot of time from trying to find out everything yourself. So it's definitely something that I would recommend anybody that's got any kind of a diagnosis for any illness, really. If it's something that's potentially life-threatening, go and find other people that are on the same journey, because the value of patient communities can't be underestimated. I mean, if you don't join any other groups or communities, you're eventually trying to reinvent the wheel. You're trying to find out everything yourself from scratch. You'll try things that others have already tried and have failed with. Now, there may be different reasons for it than why you failed, but if enough people fail at something, it can be, a way to gather evidence for the reasons why it failed, which you can't do on your own. You'll basically find out things about, so one of the things with the metabolic therapy is the off-labels is quite a big thing. And if you were to go by just what was written on the label of the packet, and you took that dosage for what it was, the off-label was meant to treat, so if we were talking for a cancer here, the dosage would be so low as to be ineffective. But then when you look at some of the doses that are recommended, they seem so incredibly high that you might think to yourself, blimey, is that going to really be bad for me? Now again, at this point I must tell you, I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a researcher, but I am good at researching and finding out what other people put out there, and I will weigh up all of the pros and cons and the balances where I can to come up with something that I think is right for me. Now, if you were to look at the doses of the off-labels that I take, which is ivermectin, mebendazole and fenbendazole, you would think I was nuts if you look at those doses, unless you know about the protocol that's behind it, and the fact that actually there have been tests of doses that are even higher than what I'm taking. Now, I'm not currently taking the dose I was, because I was getting some odd side effects, and I was trying to figure out how to reduce those side effects. So I've had to, change how I take it, bring the dose down, split the doses, various different things, because I did start off with just taking the whole lot, sort of all in one go for one of them. but looking at what other people have done, how they've taken it, even looking at some of the research they've done, all of these things give me insights into what I can do and apply it to my situation. Now, another thing that you might find is if you're doing things on your own and you're not in groups with other people, you might be in a situation where you think that your case is completely unique, when in fact the complete opposite might be true. And so finding those common grounds despite some differences can again be a really valuable thing about being in a group as opposed to trying to do it all on your own. And one of the things that we're trying to do with Cancer Warriors is build it up to a big enough group with a big enough paid membership such that we can start to get some paid medical advice in the group. And so then, if you were to join a group, and it might only be $10 a month, as long as they've got people in there that are actually qualified at dishing out advice and telling people what they can do because they're practitioners, etc. It's it's something that you might miss out on just for the sake of a few dollars a month. Now, we're not at the stage yet where we can provide that, so I wouldn't suggest anybody come join our paid group to try and find medical advice, because we can't give any. We're not allowed to by law because we're not medical practitioners. But you will find a lot of people that are happy to share their stories and to tell you how they found their guide to their path, and to especially when it comes to I said this in some of the last videos that I was talking about, it can help you sort of cut the distance from where you are to where you need to be by asking what things you should be looking at, which elements are important, because not everything that you look into is going to be necessarily of high importance, but you may not know that until you've spent 2, 3, 4 days going down the rabbit hole on something, and then all of a sudden you find out, damn it, I've wasted my time on that. I could have been spending time on finding out something else. So, to go over the key points, really, by joining other people, you can get specific insights from other cancer warriors. You can find surprising lessons that you're not going to find in research papers. You can evaluate other people's experiences. You can take what they say at face value because it matches with your conditions, or maybe there's enough of a difference that actually you might go another way. And you can essentially have knowledge in communities where literally you can honour the people that have given it, even after they're not with us any longer. And I feel for us that, particularly with Jason, still having a lot of the valuable knowledge that he gave to us in our group is a way of honouring his memory, and the community that he was essentially a part of building, because people were coming into the group for what he was sharing in there as well at the time, which has to be respected. It's something that we valued his presence a lot, and it's very sad that he's gone, but it's one of those things that, we know that even if we get everything as right as we can possibly get, and we measure everything we can measure, we restrict everything we can restrict, there is always still that possibility that we won't get it right quick enough. And it's a good lesson to learn, because nothing in life is certain, especially when it comes to healing cancer metabolically. So just something for everybody to think on and remember that we are talking about essentially a lot of experimental stuff that has massive amounts of promise, has helped many people cure themselves of certain types of cancers, but there are many more that haven't quite made it. So yeah, I think I'll leave it on that note for this one. If you found this video at all valuable, please do like it, share it if you can, drop a comment down below if you've got any thoughts, or if you've got any questions that you'd like me to answer, because I do try and answer all the questions that I can on these videos. If you are able to help with my donations on my GoFundMe, the information will be below. I'm incredibly grateful for anybody who donates to me, and if you want a shout out and you've donated, just let me know. I will give you your own personal shout out on my channel for donating to help me fight my cancer without the help of the NHS. And yeah, I think that about wraps it up. So enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you have a good one, and I will see you on the next update.